Okay, make sure to watch the first video on this, how we made this rock or planter in the first place. And I'm going to show you the process, how we paint this, sand this, make the edges nice, get this nice white edge here, and then how we plant it. So you have the complete A to B. By watching both videos, you can actually make your own planter like this. It's super easy. And once this biodiversity that's inside here goes active, it's going to be enormous and very, very powerful, probably for the next 5 to 10 years. So watch both videos and then you can see exactly how we've done this. And the sand fill method for planters is by far the best method to make these rocks or planters. A lot of people use cardboards and they make these shapes. Works well, but this is much simpler. And for beginners, it's a fantastic way to make a planter. So try it out for yourself. This cost about, let's say $20. It's more like $12. But try it, watch the video, and you should have all the information you need to create something like this. And this would make a great bonsai planter. But what I really like is to have the entire surface of the planter filled up, so that the sun can't get in here and this starts to just live together, grow together, and get really strong. Okay, I promised a couple of people that I would decorate this. I'm gonna plant it with succulents. And I don't have any chemical stains, but I prefer to use latex, exterior latex paint when I spray it. And I use a spray bottle because it sort of disperses it better. Right now I'm burning off all the polypropylene fibers so they don't show. Okay, so I use these cheap bottles. If they're 98 cents. If they die on you, if they clog up, then you just buy another one. So I've got maybe 5-to-1 latex, exterior latex, high quality paint, 5-to-1 with water. Basically, I'm going to spray it with this exterior latex. And unfortunately, I don't want this too dark. So I'm not going to, because I have everything, what I'm using is light. So if you can see right away, the white cement that I used on the surface and that brown tan from video number 1. And you cover everywhere because it's going to soak in and disappear a little bit. So you got to have a good disbursement. So right here I don't have enough. So this is just really high quality exterior latex. And it soaks in. You don't need really expensive stains, concrete stains. And this doesn't wear out so easy. Okay, so my big secret is sandpaper. I'll come back and you see what happens? Some of the gray comes through and it starts to look like a rock now. It looks very, very real when you sand it. So I'm getting rid of some of the brown, but I'm also showing some of the gray. And I like to do it when the latex paint that I sprayed on is still wet, because I can attack it a little bit and get it to color. So the sandpaper is fantastic because it brings some of the gray through. Look at that, it looks exactly like a rock. And this part I'm not going to do too much because it's going to be on the bottom for the planter. And this kills your sandpaper, so have enough sandpaper on hand. I guess you should wear protective gloves too, but my hands have worked enough, so it's not a problem. So what happens, some of the brown goes into these holes, and when you knock the looser material off the front of it, it shows up like a rock. Just have to do the front here. And if I didn't want this so light, I'd probably spray it again with color, but I want it very light, so I'm not going to spray it again. So you can adjust your color to darker, lighter as you want. Okay, that's how quick it goes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush off everything that's loose. And then we're ready for planting. One last thing I want to show. Is how I make you saw it in the first video, how I make the white skin, the white rim around it. For me, that's very important because it shows off the color green really well. Okay. This is the rim I'm talking about, and I like to keep it white because when you put green plants here, it looks so good. So what I do is I make a little white mix. This is pure Portland, and I go around and I check for little blemishes. I work them in. This is almost dry, so I got a hole here, a hole here. So I just work them in, and this sticks. Then I rub it in with my hand. Okay, one last thing is, if you look closely, there's these edges in these planters, in the cement. And what happens is when you clean out a planter like this, these edges are full of roots. So the succulents are going to use the wall of the planter to get moisture when they don't have any. So this cement planter for most plants has two benefits. It'll absorb extra water when you water, and it will release water when there's no water in the soil. Okay, I'm going to get a soil that is organic but very sandy at the same time. We're going to get a mix of this. And that's what we're going to use to grow the succulents. It's a very dry material. When you get this wet, it looks beautiful. But right now it's very dry. We're going to augment this with a bit of a rougher sand, just so that there's enough material for the succulents to grow really well. Enough organic material, that is. And we're going to now add this sand that is kind of loaded with organic material from leaves that have been chewed up by the river itself. Very, very fine sand. Okay, to finish it off, we're going to use a very gravelly material that has lots of chewed up leaves in it. Succulents love that kind of stuff because it dries out completely. You can see the leaves in here. So it has enough sand and it has enough organic matter. That's what we want. So what I'm doing here is I'm processing this a bit more. And I notice right away we need some clean sand in here because it's very organic, this stuff. Very sandy, but also very organic. Any rocks out. Okay, so I'm going to transfer this into here and work it. Okay, I'm missing fine sand. I gotta go get some fine sand. Crystal? Yeah, I want some of this rougher sand. Okay, so this is quite sandy and quite organic. I'm not happy with it. I want it a little bit more grainy. So I'm going to add some of the sand. And this is very grainy. But in the spaces, there's lots of topsoil. It's like chewed to death from the river. Okay, this more sandy material, I want to get it on the bottom so that the planter drains well. Get this grainy stuff on the bottom. As you can see, it's got lots of twigs in it. Very organic, but yet very sandy. Okay, I can't go too high. I have to start getting these guys in here. So I'm going to start with this guy as my focal point, my center point. I'm going to face it this way because this is the main view. Okay, a bit higher. Want this nice and high. Still not standing up. Okay, my next plant is the highest one, which is kind of going to go in between here. Okay, I'm going to use these guys. They're beautiful, so I'm going to put them in the front. And I kind of want this whole thing to work off of biodiversity. I want it to have the whole planter filled up with life so that they're going to fill into each other. Okay, succulents, smaller succulents. This got a really nice texture to it. Put this guy in here. So I have to be very careful. All these succulents are from my garden and they're mainly grown in rich soil. They're not grown in sand. So I want to have a bit of a sand content still. Don't be shy with these guys, push them in nicely. If you go a bit higher, that's okay too. And these guys will thrive off of each other. This is what I was talking about, how the white and the green look so fantastic. That's why I like to have a white edge on those planters. And pick succulents that have like different colors. If anything breaks off, stick it into the ground, use it again. Don't be shy. Have some of them come over. And I've got these guys that are kind of rubbery, very nice and rubbery. Then I have these guys that have got a little bit like a lamb's ear to them. And always face them, the root system, into the middle of the planter. Never put it the other way around. It helps a lot for them to grow. Then I got the little sedums. You can't have a planter like this without them. Okay, now I have to go to the back and work on the back. This is a really good mix. It's a bit rich, a lot of organic material, but I'm okay with that because these sedums and succulents have grown in rich soil. They're not grown in sand, so I don't want to change that too much. Always face inwards so they can shoot out new life. I'm going to put a fern in here just to add a bit of spice. Something there. I'm going to use these rubbery guys. Let them fill in this space. This under here, and don't be shy to squish this in, break up the root ball a bit. Okay, I'm missing a little bit more, and as you can see, the white, once it starts to grow, this white is really important. It shows off this arrangement really well. I have these guys, they have like these great big fat bulbs, and you can't kill this stuff. It doesn't even need water really. It's got a reserve inside these bulbs. So I'm going to put this here just to give some extra, make sure the roots are all inside, not sticking on this edge. I'm going to put these hairy guys in here, and I want to give a little bit of room so these plants can spread out. Okay, I'm going to get 2 more in here. This guy sends out this beautiful flower spike. It gets huge. This plant will fill up the whole planter by itself if it has enough room. I'm going to get that in there. And then I'm going to add a bit of red. We have these guys that they're easy to propagate. They grow so easily. This needs to really grow in. If this starts to fill in, wow, with the diversity in this planter, they'll work together so well. And it's a shame that I can't wait for a month for these plants to show off their growth. But anyways, here we go. There's the planter, finished and planted and ready to enjoy for the next 5-10 years.